Microsoft introduced the Tenant App Catalog many years ago as a way for users to install, deploy, and to acquire apps within their SharePoint Online environment. Unfortunately, it's become quite a bit dated and has not kept up with the needs and demands of the product until now. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what Microsoft is rolling out to your SharePoint Online tenants with the new modern experience, a better story for acquiring, requesting, and approving apps from the App Store, and more. In fact, we're going to get an idea of what's coming in the future as well. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Andrew Powell. This episode is also available as a blog post on Voitanos.io and as a podcast on Voitanos.show. Check out the description below the video for links to these other resources. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to see when I post more videos for Microsoft 365 Pro developers. Okay, before we take a look at this new app catalog that we're getting, let's look at what the existing app catalog is. Not everybody's going to have this just yet. It's still currently rolling out, so depending on when you watch this, you may have it in your tenant or not. But I'm going to show you what both experiences look like as I've got them both in my tenant. So here I'm inside of my SharePoint Admin Center. So I'm going to jump over to my SharePoint Admin Center, and I'll go over to my sites, and I'm going to take a look at my app catalog. So here we can see we've got this old classic experience here. I've got a couple apps that I've acquired and I've gone ahead and deployed throughout my tenant. And I can see some basic information about them, such as the title, the name of the web part, or whatever the component is. I can see when I deployed it, has it been enabled, valid app package deployed, is it deployed to all sites? I can see all that stuff. But a lot of stuff I can't see. I can't see like if this is just available in SharePoint or if it's also available in SharePoint and Microsoft Teams and Viva Connections, which is more of a modern experience. And then furthermore, I don't get a whole lot of additional detail about these different apps, such as the ones that I've requested and I've been able to access or provide to my my employees within my organization, my other users in the tenant. So let's take a look and see how this differs from the new experience. So what I can do is if I go back to the site, go back to our the homepage for our tenant, and if I go to more features, you'll see that I have this section here for apps. And so if I click on apps, that's going to take me to my new tenant if it exists, if it's available to me. So here's my new app catalog, the new one that's rolling out. So here we can see a couple things that are kind of interesting here. We still got the title. The UI definitely looks a lot better. We've got the version of the app that's deployed. We've also got some information here if what the state of it is, if it's currently enabled or not, if it's been deployed to all sites or not. And we can also see if it's available for SharePoint or not. If one of these apps was also available for Microsoft Teams, then that would show up here as well. And then there's a bunch of additional information that we get with this. Furthermore, if I select one of these guys, I can also select that I want to stop adding it to new sites. So for example, this first one here, my Teams tab client-side solution, it is available for all new sites that get created. Right now, the way I've actually created this one. But in this case here, let's say I don't want to go through and deploy it to everybody, all new sites as new sites get created. Well, in this case here, what if I don't want it to be deployed to all new sites? I only want to leave it as, for all the sites that have already installed it or if they manually install it. So I can then go select that and then choose stop adding to new sites. Furthermore, right now you can see that it's only available for SharePoint, but I'll show you in a second what it looks like. We'd have a little Teams icon here if it is available for Teams. This one just happens to be a very old app that is using an old manifest that's no longer legitimate, so it's not showing up as it's available for Microsoft Teams. And in the future, we'll also see apps that are for adaptive card extensions, which are made specifically for Viva Connections. And I'd see a Viva Connections icon as well. So let's take a look and see what the experience looks like if someone requests a new app. So if I come over here to a different user that signed in. So in my first browser, you can see I'm signed in as me. Whereas in this other browser, I'm signed in as somebody totally different. So what I'm going to do is they're going to come over here to their site, go to the site contents, and they're going to go to install a new app. And let's just say here that they don't see the app that they want. So they can then go to the SharePoint Store to where they can then request an app. So if they scroll down, they don't have access, they don't have permissions to go acquire an app. So instead, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and let's do a search for a calendar app. And I'll just grab this calendar overlay app. And because I don't have permissions as its user to install or to acquire apps from the store, which may have a licensing cost associated with it, then I can only request it. So I'll go ahead and click request and say, I'm just going to type out a message to my boss saying, I really need this. And then I'll go ahead and submit the request. So now my request has been submitted. I can come over here and look at all my requests that I've submitted. And we can see here that the app that I've actually requested here is one called Calendar Overlay. The requesting status is pending. And then I can also see the message that I actually submitted for the request. Well, if I go back over to my other user who's an administrator, I can then come over here and look at the app requests that are all in a pending state. And I can see that Jack Sparrow requested one of these that requested a new app. So I can go select this. I can see the message that this person put in to say that they wanted this app. It tells me what the version of it is, the release date of the app, some ratings for it. And then I can choose if I want to go through and approve this or not. I'll go ahead and say, sure, this is exactly, I want to make sure you can get your job done. And then I'll select approve and add this app. This app here is also going to request additional permissions. So this is interesting because this app is going to use a Microsoft Graph and it's requesting a bunch of permissions that you don't get out of the box. And so it's telling the administrator that, hey, you're going to need to go in and add additional or grant additional permissions in order for this app to work. I can also only make this app available to the person that wanted to go through and that requested it. And so that the app can only be installed from the My Apps page, or I could say that this can be added automatically to all sites. So anybody would actually get it. No site owners would have to go through that process. I'm going to go ahead and say only enable this app. But if I go ahead and say confirm, you'll notice here that it also tells me that, reminding me that I'm going to have to go approve these different permission requests. So it gives me some information about what I'm going to need to do with this. Here I can just go to the API access page. And here we can see a list of all the permission requests that have been requested that I need to go ahead and I need to approve in order for that app to work. But it also shows all the permissions that have been approved. So which specific package made these requests. So in this case here, we can see these handful were all from the Calendar Overlay app that I just approved. If I come back over here, come back to our apps that we just installed, and I look at the completed requests, I can see here that this app was requested, has been approved. And so now when I come over here to manage apps, I can now see the Calendar Overlay showing up, as well as I can see that it's been added, it's available also for Microsoft Teams, not just for SharePoint, but also available in Microsoft Teams. Furthermore, if I go back over to the user that requested the app, refresh the page of where they made all their requests, I can see that the request was approved. I can see the comments and who actually requested it. So then if I come back over here to My Apps, I can now go ahead and I can install the Calendar Overlay app that I selected from the store. So great. We've seen the new app catalog. We've seen the modernized app catalog. How do you get it if you don't already have it? Well, the modernized app catalog changes are currently rolling out so that you might already have them, the new interface in your tenant. And that depends on if your tenant is configured for receiving updates and when you watch this video as well. You don't have to do anything to receive these updates as they're being applied to the existing app catalogs. But if you don't see these updates in your tenant just yet, you'll just have to wait until they show up. There's nothing for you really to do. But if you do have the new experience, you'll see this little welcome message with some tooltip callouts showing you the different updates and how to use it. The one thing that has changed is the app catalog creation process. If you have a brand new tenant, the app catalog isn't pre-provisioned until you try to navigate to it the very first time. So that initial first-time experience is going to be a bit slower than normal while the SharePoint Online provisions the app catalog for your tenant. Okay, great. So what's next? Well, these modernization improvements are nice improvement. They've also been a long time coming. So thankfully, Microsoft isn't stopping with these improvements that I just showed you, as they're planning to keep investing and rolling out more capabilities and features into the App Store over time. This is just the first step of modernizing the app catalog for SharePoint Online tenants. So what kinds of things can you expect? Well, you can still upload custom solutions that you create yourself or your team creates. If you want to get a new app for SharePoint or Viva connections, you're limited to just the SharePoint Store. But in the future, they're going to support acquisition of solutions directly from Microsoft's App Source. That's their centralized app store where you can go grab solutions for various products. And when it comes to Viva Connections, they're also looking to add a separate app type and app category for Viva Connection solutions to both the app catalog and Microsoft's App Source. And for vendors, they're also going to support automatic updates of SPFx solutions. So if you install an app that you've acquired from a vendor through the SharePoint Store, when that vendor, that ISV, updates the app in the App Store, your installations of the app will be automatically updated. And this is going to be a really nice thing because then site collection owners or site owners aren't going to have to go do any work to go update them. Microsoft is also planning to add additional metadata details for SPFx solutions in the modern app catalog. So that's what they've told us so far. What am I hoping that we see? What I'm hoping that we see in the future is more detail on the apps that are in my app catalog, as well as details in the app installation. So for example, from the app catalog, I'd like to see a list of all the sites where the app is installed, some analytics and telemetry about the app, like how often it's being used and by how many users. As a developer, I'd love to have the ability to write logs from my app and be able to see these logs from the app catalog in the admin center. Another thing I really want is for Microsoft to let me know when my apps are installed, upgraded, or deleted in a site or the app catalog. I can then use those events to provision a list if my web part needs that within a site. Or I could upgrade a list schema or create an API or external data store or anything else. We had this ability with SharePoint add-ins, but we don't have it with things like Microsoft Teams or SharePoint Framework Solutions. And I think it will go a long way for us as developers. What about you as a developer of custom apps? What would you like to see Microsoft do to the app catalog, either as a change or by adding something new to improve this story? Let me know. Drop a comment in so that we can share that with them. I hope you enjoyed this quick little preview of the new modernized app catalog in SharePoint Online sites. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you can see future videos about Microsoft 365 content for professional developers. And I'll see you in the next video.